Up folks, so we're back at again with another video. So this customer said that sometimes feel like he's losing power, right? This is a Nissan AD. I believe this has a CR12 engine in it, and customer said basically, plugs was replaced, clean mass airflow, throttle, I believe the injectors were serviced, but he still feel like he's getting a misfire, right? I believe they threw the mass airflow and also the O2 sensor, and he still feels like he's getting a misfire. He said it got better, right? But he still feel like a misfire when the vehicle gets hot, extremely hot, right? So I asked if I could check it out from. So let's go in the hood and I'll show you exactly what engine is in this car, and see if we see extra vibration or anything like that to kind of hint where the misfires come from. I can also do the test I like to do, check the muffler and see if you're getting like a pulse or something like that. As I said, we're going to try our alternate method where we can determine where the misfire is coming from, right? Sometimes when you get this kind of fish bite misfire, intermittent, customer tend to feel it, and we as a mechanic don't feel it, when we drive it. So we kind of have to make these things reoccur again, and then we'll be able to diagnose. But as I said, man, sometimes very challenging, right? So we're just gonna sit here for a bit, let the car idle, and see if it raises its head. If not, well, as I said, we're gonna try something. Yeah, so it's been 15 to 20 minutes. Been running this car up and down the block to see if this misfire shows up, but nothing, right? So I'm just gonna leave it let idle a bit. I hope this customer have feel. Yes, he does. So I'm gonna let this vehicle idle a little bit longer and see if I'm getting the misfire to show up. Well, if it is a misfire, I don't want to be going chasing things that's not there, but the customer did say he feel it, especially when it's idle. At idle, when he drives, it drives really well. He don't get it, but especially when he's idling, that's when he feel like the power dips a little bit. So much like when it cut off. But as I said, the plugs was replaced, coils, I believe, mass airflow, O2 sensor, you name it, was replaced, and the injectors was also serviced. Alright, so as I said, this has a CR12. Right, I believe there's how many coil packs is it? I'm seeing 4 coil packs. Right, so let's see what exactly is happening to the vehicle. So the vehicle is running okay, right? But from time to time, you feel like, as I said, a fish bite misfire. So we're gonna check our. Let's see what's going on. Matter of fact, let's read fault codes. We have no fault codes. So let's go and read data stream. We're going to go all signal, and I'm going to go into my engine speed. Right, so my fuel trim is at 100, which is really good. Right, as I said, they replaced the mass airflow and the O2 sensor. Right, but I'm not going to pay attention to this. I'm going to go after my engine speed. Right, so I need you to watch your engine speed. From time to time, you'll see like it's glitching. Right now it's hovering around 688, 675 to 700, right? So it's running really good. But then sometimes you will see the RPM just drop, right? From what I know, anytime you got a misfire, it slows down the crankshaft, right? So we're gonna keep monitoring this RPM to see if we see anything glitching or not. But as I said, you're not getting it right now. So let's put some load on this vehicle. Put the lights on. Probably put the AC on. Alright. But let's see. That little dip there was because I put the AC on and it stepped up. Right? So you see the RPM is increasing to 850, 860. Because I got the AC on, so the ECU is gonna step the idle up to compensate for the load, right? But I'm just trying to get it like extremely hot when the client say like if he runs it for a while, that's when he gets that, you know. Alright, I just switched the AC off, right, and I have the lights on only, and basically you see the RPM coming back down. So I'm gonna put it down in drive. And basically you see the idle drop really low to like 560, 550. Fan just came on, so I'm expecting the idle speed to go up. I'm going to put on the AC. It pulls it back down. I'm going to put the lights on. What I'm doing here is putting like load on the vehicle, on the engine, so we can, you know, see if, trying to simulate what the client is experiencing. And he'll be driving most of the time, he'll be idling, you have the AC on, you have the lights on, so I expect to see, you know, this engine speed, you know, stay roughly within 25 to let's say 30, 50 RPM within, you know, it's supposed to not study line, but at least be consistent. But anytime you see like it drops really low, like I said, that's why I believe the misfire is happening. So I'm trying to get this to back up. So the AC is on, the lights is on. As I said, it's definitely a fish bite misfire, because you don't get it all the time. As you can see, the engine speed is staying relatively straight, you know, or hovering around the same value at between like 625 RPM to 638. At least an hour, then I took it for a long run. I drove, I stopped, I let it idle, I did everything, and basically this fish bite misfire is not rearing its head. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to probably use a little advanced diagnosing and see if, you know, it shows up. So the coils for this engine is hidden under this air box, so I'm not going to be able to get access to it. So I'll remove the boost control and the map and whatever else signal sensor I need to get access to these coils or injectors. So I'm looking right here, I can get access to the crank sensor. So I probably could, you know, get a signal of the crank sensor and probably number 1 coil and see if it shows up using the map channel, right? So let's let me set it up and see what we get. Was under the airbox, right? So this is 4-cylinder. So I'm gonna sync off for number 1. Client just mentioned to me that they replaced the head on the block. I believe last year, something like that, right? But I'm gonna sync off for number 1, right? So we're gonna go onto the wire that's the different color, right? The other will be power and ground, right? You can sync off, or it doesn't matter which one you sync off, or once you know the fire order. And I'm going to sync off the crank sensor, which is that green jack, and I want to see if I can get a crank signal and a sync and probably figure this thing out. So right now I got the scan tool hooked up, right, still on the DLC, so I can monitor the engine speed. And right here I'm on the crank and the signal, but for some reason I'm not getting any signal. So let's check my connector. Yes, I am. So we want to see when number 1 is being fired. Let's bring this down. Right, let's increase our time. Let's stop this. Let's switch the vehicle off. As I said, I'm not able to determine where the misfire is coming from, but I'm hoping that whatever I do here will, you know, kind of help me or guide me. So let me just, you know, walk you all through it. Using advanced frequency plot algorithm, we can view the combustion events that may or may not occur in the cylinders. So I'm using P6 for this one. You can do it with P7, and other scopes have similar function, but today I'm using P6, right? So we have the red channel on the crank signal and the blue channel on the synchro number 1 coil, right? So you gotta go into tools on the toolbar, hit the math channel, select the channel that you're using the math frequency on. In my case, I'm using frequency B, right? You'll see a black line basically pops up. I already had it set up. Yeah, so we definitely gotta make some minor adjustments, right? So the next thing we have to do, right, is we gotta clean up the waveform a bit, right? Let's use some filters, right? So you definitely gotta go into the channel, right, and you gotta hit the filters, but try not to over filter it, because then it tends to get a little messy, right? So as I said, when you go into your channel that you synced on for your crank sensor, you wanna go in, hit the filter, right, and that definitely will clean up the channel a little bit. And when you see me hit the filter, you saw that it's changed, right? So let's do some other things. Let's move to the other channel that's out the way, right, that we're not gonna be using, right? I'm gonna pull down this sync a little bit, and also I want to be able to use the entire screen till you can analyze this waveform, right? So as I said, you just move things out that you're not using, right? So next we have to tighten up on the range, right? The crankshaft isn't moving too fast at the moment. It's about 800 RPM based on what the scan tool is saying. So let's put the rulers midway, and also let's take an average height, right? So I'm seeing like around 390 to 490 hertz, right? So we definitely gotta remember that number, jot it down somewhere. You're gonna use that to tighten up your math channel in a bit, right? Right, so we're gonna go right back into tools again. You're gonna go back into the same math channel again, and we're gonna just enter that 390 and 490, right? And after you finish that, just press OK, and basically you'll see, you know, that your waveform starting to look like you have a little bit more details that you know, that you can use to analyze the this problem on this vehicle. All right, press next. All right, let's go and press OK. Make sure and press OK. All right, so now we can see more details, right? So whenever you see a tooth is missing on the crankshaft reluctor wheel, you see a dip or a dropout, right? That's just the software. The software will basically plot the gap, so you don't gotta worry about that, right? So we gotta zoom in a bit so we can use our rulers to sync the number 1 ignition coil signal, right? Remember that the firing order for this vehicle, oh, I didn't put it up. Firing order for this vehicle is 1, 3, 4, 2. So we need to use that in order to identify what cylinder is having the issue, right? So we're gonna use that with our rulers so we can keep the cylinders in the order. Right, so once we got that set up, right, what else do I need? Do I need to pull my rulers yet? Let me just bring down this a little bit, right, because right now you can't see everything. So let's bring these down a little lower so we can see what's good. All right, so oh man, I made a mistake. I gotta fix my rules. Right, so we synced on number 1 coil, and as I said, 720 degrees in the cycle. So we're gonna put it back to the next time it, you should have a little blimp. We're gonna zoom in here so we can, as I said, see more details. Just gonna zoom in till you see that. Now with that setup, right, as I said, hold on, wait. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Right, so I'm going to pull out my degree rulers, right? I'm definitely going to need that, so, right? I know from that point to that point is 720, but I'm just going to pull it up just for demonstration purpose, right? So we're going to put this to 720, right? Normally when you pull it up, it would be like 360, but you just hit the bar and it would type in 720, and it would, automatically fix itself. So, and it's a 4-cylinder engine, so I'm expecting to see 4 divisions. Let's move this box out of the way, right? And I need you to basically just follow my cursor, right? You can try it yourself if you have the software, or if you have the Pico, you can try it also. So by following my cursor, you see when the peak is coming up to the top, this shows that the crankshaft speed is increasing, and after the fuel is combusted, which will basically accelerate the crankshaft speed. And as it drops, right, basically it tells me that the crankshaft speed is slowing down in relation to the top dead center. We know when basically a cylinder is misfiring, the crankshaft slows down, right? So it's just for us to basically use this info to determine which cylinder has the issue, right? So as I said, the fire note is 1342 for this particular engine, and you can see where it's sped up on 2 and 3, 2, 3, and 4 cylinder, and number 1 is relatively lower in comparison to the others, right? But still, you can't just jump and say, well, this number 1 has an issue. You got compared to the next section of the waveform, right? So as I said, when you're analyzing this data, the crankshaft RPM is evaluated on both the rise and fall. So when the misfire occurs, the crankshaft speed during the power stroke will significantly lower, as there's no downward force being applied on the piston from the combustion, right? During the air-fuel mixture, right? This PCM will calculate the time between the edges of the crankshaft reluctor wheel, and that will receive the signal from the crank sensor, right? And then he will disable that particular, let's say, fuel injector sometimes, right? So he don't damage the catalyst, because you don't want raw fuel going on in the engine, right? So as I said, man, this is how the ECU detects a misfire, by using a crank sensor signal to measure the acceleration of the crankshaft when the cylinder fires. And basically, when a cylinder fire, normally the crankshaft momentarily accelerates, and when the misfire occurs, it momentarily decelerate, right? So knowing the firing order and knowing to do this, you can use frequency to figure out how the misfire occurs. All right, so if you're seeing a low peak, that would indicate that the fuel did not basically combust, and will basically slow down the crankshaft. So basically a low dip in speed will indicate an incomplete combustion event, right? But I'm not seeing a low dip at all, so that also have me, looking at this and saying basically it's not really a misfire, I guess. As I said, man, I'm comparing it to a different section of the waveform, and all looks well. You will get slightly changes. I mean, you're not going to get no drastic change unless it's a misfire, right? But yes, from what I'm seeing here, it's not supposed to look uniform. It's not that type of waveform, like insulin or something like that. It's not that. You will get change in the crankshaft based on the load, and basically on the load on the engine, right? So as I said, man, I want to try something else. I'll probably look at my fuel trims and see if I can get some sort of direction again. But from what I'm seeing here, everything looks well in this vehicle. I'm not seeing anything that stand out, right? So let's go back out on the vehicle. Yeah, so this vehicle came from another shop, so I'm just assisting in diagnosing this vehicle for them. So I believe I'm gonna go after my fuel trim and see what I missed, right? Basically I'm gonna use something a little more flammable, because I tried the smoke machine earlier and I didn't see anything at all. But normally you see like 106 on your percent on your fuel trim, and you don't really study it. But I try to go for 100, which is perfect. But what that 6% telling me is I'm adding 6% more fuel, right? So this is why I try to get 100% fuel trim, right? So as you can see, when I'm spraying that carb spray, you definitely seeing the change in my fuel trim, right? So this definitely telling me that I have a vacuum leak that was causing this misfire, right? And look, you actually seeing it dipping straight out, right? So I believe I found the issue, right? It was an intake. Looked like it's leaking from, what's that, the air filter? Basically, I believe that is what's causing the feeling like a fish bite misfire, right? Basically a vacuum leak. Wow. So I'm going to inform the client what I found and let him make a decision from there. And probably, matter of fact, let me take it apart and let me see if I can fix it myself, or if not, if you have to purchase something, it's getting late. But let me, as I said, man, let me take it apart and see exactly what it is. Because as I said, I pump smoke in it, and I'm not sure why it wasn't I didn't see it, so it's just basically a big intake rubber. Here I'm not seeing any cracks or anything like that on the cover, right? But when I spray in this area, I noticed the fuel trim changed a lot, and the throttle is bolted in to this chamber, and basically, if this rubber is not sealing properly, it definitely will affect the performance of the vehicle and the vacuum of the vehicle that the vehicle creates, right? So I'm going to let the customer know that you got to change this airbox, right? If you can. If not, he will have to replace the o-ring and the seals and whatever else is here in order to get the vehicle to be working like it's supposed to, right? So other than that, man, I believe, I solved the problem right here. So as I said, man, I tried to put a piece of plastic to see if it would stop, but it wasn't fixing this problem. So as I said, I want to let the customer know that you gotta get a new airbox. It probably won't. I'm not sure. It's plastic. Yeah, so the customer returned a few days later, right, to change a coil. So I decided to look at the fuel trims to see how they look, and basically he said the vehicle is running real good since he changed the airbox. He hasn't felt the misfire that he was getting, but now he got a misfire because number 2 coil was gone. So we replaced that, and as I said, I'm just checking my fuel trim right now to see if what he did or what we did work, right? So I believe it did. As I said, he hasn't complained about any misfire or anything like that. So I believe I was able to help this customer fix his vehicle, and I'm glad about that, right? So until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Leave everything down in the box. I will get to it if I can. I appreciate all y'all. Thanks for the support. Until the next time, take it easy.